Guys, happy Monday. Welcome to our daily Devo. We are reading from Psalm 12 today. So as always, if you haven't read it, go ahead and hop off or pause this, give it a read, and then come back on. As I was reading through today's psalm, I was really struck by a couple of different things. One, there is a call not to boast in faith, not to boast with your lips. It says specifically, may the Lord cut off all flattering lips, the tongue that makes great boasts. And instead, it's this beautiful call to action, which I just read through Paul's first letter to the Corinthians, and he speaks of the same thing. He talks about how we are not called as Christians to boast, but instead we are called to prove our love for the Lord, to prove the Lord's love for us, through our actions. It's all about how can you love your neighbor through what you do, not necessarily through what you say. How actions speak louder than words. Later in this psalm, it talks about how the promises of the Lord are promises that are pure, how the Lord will protect, the Lord will provide, and I think that we as Christians have a gift in this really chaotic, really confusing season that we're in that we know the promises of the Lord. We know that He will provide, we know that He will protect us, and in that we have this hope that is unprecedented in the world that we are in right now. And so what I want to encourage you guys to do today is to take that hope and use it in your actions, in the way that you are going out either virtually or literally into the world to love those around you. I was listening to a podcast earlier today about the bubonic plague and how the church, which was predominantly Catholic at the time, handled the bubonic plague. And this historian of specifically the Black Plague was speaking about how so many of the pastors at the time, so many of the priests ended up dying in this plague because they were out there continuing to bless the sick and be with the sick and anoint them, and how an unprecedented amount of them died during this season because they were continuing to love their neighbor. I'm not asking you to do anything silly. I'm not asking you to do anything that is unwise. I'm just asking you the question of how can you go out and love your neighbor through some sort of action during this season. That is all.